Who picked that line? Kungaloosh and welcome back, adventurers. My name's Wes, and this is Addicted to Adventure. Today I thought we would talk about Hasbro's new whip-action Indiana Jones figure. Now, I was not impressed when I first saw this figure. Yeah, you press a button, it cracks a whip and makes a sound. It's cute, but I wasn't that interested. And as I was reaching to put it back on the shelf...
That belongs in a museum!
Okay, now I'm interested. As you can tell, my inner child won out, and this came home with me. So, this is less a review of the action figure itself. It's not that impressive a figure, but more a review of the movie lines they decided to put on it. So when I started thinking about this, I came up with some criteria as to how you might choose lines to put on a talking action figure. The first one I came up with was, it really needs to be a standalone line. It wouldn't really make sense to have it be an exchange, a back and forth between two characters. Because even though some of my favorite lines in the movies are exchanges, it doesn't make sense to have someone else's voice coming from an Indiana Jones action figure. So that's number one. Number two is basically that it needs to make sense without context, and that's kind of related to the first one. Third is that the line should probably remain kid-friendly. It is a toy. The major market for the toys are kids, not necessarily, nerdy man-children. So, as much as I hate to say it, you probably shouldn't have lines like this. Or like this.
Son of a...
Even though I would love it. And lastly, the line should be probably mainstream enough that even normies can recognize it. You don't want to have an obscure line that only Indiana Jones superfans would recognize. Even though I think I speak for Indiana Jones superfans that you could even make a figure that says, frankly, we're somewhat suspicious of Mr. Ravenwood being mentioned so prominently in a secret Nazi cable. And Indiana Jones superfans like me would giggle and jump up and down. But that's not the main market for the toy. So you want to keep it to things like...
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Everyone recognizes that. So with the understanding of those criteria, let's see what they picked. Let's see what we would have changed. Let's see what else they might have added if they'd gone with more lines. So here's the big question. What are the lines? Well, there are 8 lines from the original trilogy. They included 0 lines from Crystal Skull, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. So, without further ado...
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Perfect. Probably the most recognizable line from Raiders. Well done on this one.
I don't know. I'm making this up as I go.
Again, another classic, iconic line.
I don't know what they've got there.
Who picked that line? Of all the lines in Raiders, you ever hear anybody quote that line? Neither do I. If only there was a more famous line they could have used instead of that one. Something more memorable, more quotable. Something a lot of people know and recognize. If only. Seriously, how do you not include, it's not the years, honey, it's the mileage? How?
I hate snakes, Chuck! I hate them!
Again, a really good line. It does seem a little redundant because they also included snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? So, still a good line. I wonder if maybe we could have picked something a little less redundant.
Besides, you know what a cautious fellow I am.
Trust me.
It's a date. You eat them.
It's not the years. It's the mileage. Fortune and glory, kid. Fortune and glory.
Okay, that's the only line from Temple of Doom. And if you're going to pick one line from Temple of Doom, that is the one you should have picked. So, well done on that. I do wish we could have got more from Temple of Doom. I have come up with a couple options that I think would have worked.
Short round. Step on it. Where's my gun? Where's my gun?
That's why they call it the jungle, sweetheart. Nothing shocks me. I'm a scientist. Step where I step. And don't touch anything.
We are going to die.
And it's not kid-friendly, but I would have been okay with this line.
Molaram, prepare to meet Kali in hell. I told you, don't call me Junior.
A classic line. I'm glad they have that one in there. They did a really good job of editing out the music and gunfire, too.
X marks the spot.
Okay. I don't hate it. I can think of better lines that maybe we could have included, but it's not bad.
That belongs in a museum.
Okay, another really iconic line from Last Crusade. That's a good choice.
Oh, rats. Nazis. I hate these guys.
No ticket.
I'm like a bad penny. I always turn up. Penitent man will pass.
That's the cup of a carpenter.
Got a lot of fond memories of that dog.
And obviously this line is an exchange, so it wouldn't work, but this is probably my favorite exchange in the entire series.
Those people are trying to kill us. I know, Dad. It's a new experience for me. Happens to me all the time.
Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. If you've been watching the channel for any length of time, you're probably aware I'm not its biggest fan, but at the same time, I still think of it as a fairly quotable movie. My siblings and I quote it quite a bit. As a matter of fact, this quote is one of our favorites.
Marvelous. Perfect. Make the letters bigger. Much bigger.
And let's not forget,
3 times it drops.
but did you notice anything about those two quotes? Neither of them came from Indy's mouth. And that is, I think, the problem. There really weren't that many great lines that came from Indy in Crystal Skull. And don't get me wrong, you could include some of his lines, but none of them are as recognizable or famous or just memorable as the lines from the original trilogy. And I think that's kind of what you're going for in an action figure like this. At least that's what I would like to see. About the closest thing I could find was there's a line when he's in the Russian tent.
Well, you know me. Always glad to help.
I think that would have worked okay. But that's as close as I could find. So what did you think of the lines they included on this figure? Are there any you would add? Are there any you would remove? Let me know in the comments. I legitimately like talking about this kind of thing. That's all I have for this episode. So until next time, fortune and glory, my friends.